Hello guys, my name is Michael and today we are going to talk about new functions. We are going to learn new things and we will see how we are going to handle these functions. So basically, let's take a short brief about our last functions. As you saw already here, we were creating some buttons, spin buttons based on some range, or later we were creating with an adjustment. By calling GtkSpinButton new and so on, we saw that we can set some value, we can get some values as int, or if you want to just get a value which defaults to double or float. Anyway, today we are going to talk about three new functions, which they are also important. So let's see. Let's go to the first one, which is GTKSpinButton set snap to ticks. It is a function which returns nothing, or better say returns void. Takes two parameters. The first one is our button, and the second one it is a Boolean snap to ticks, which means true or false. But sets the policy as to whether values are corrected to the nearest step increment when a spin button is activated after providing an invalid value. Okay, so let's see. You remember in the last videos we were talking about, let me go a little bit up, about this function GTKSpinButton set numeric. You saw that when you call this function, let me pass our spin button here, GTKSpinButton, and we set it to false. Yes, when I'm typing here something in the entries spin button, you see we can type something. So this thing basically defaults to what exactly it is set on the spin button. But when we are setting it to true, we said don't let numbers to be typed here. See, we cannot letters here, you see. So basically this is the way how we were handling it. But now let's see something very interesting. Let's say that it is set to false, or better said, you are not calling this function at all. This means now when you type something in the entry, you basically can type something. Like I said last time, I said again now, if you find a way where you think you need this, just let me know, because I'm not sure where you need to type some text in an entry of the spin button. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go back to our where is it, snap to ticks function. Let's call it, which says the first parameter is our button, GTKSpinButton. So we are going to cast it, we need it, spin button. And the second one, it will be set to true or false. Now, what this function does, the way they said here, sets the policy as to whether values are corrected to the nearest step increment when a spin button is activated after providing an invalid value. So what this means, let's see for a second. These things first does something like rounding your value to the nearest value possible. So this means that if GTKSpinButton set snap to ticks is set to true, let's set it to true now. Yeah, so let's say if now it's set to true, then if the value is less than 50, let's say 50/50, then the value will be 50. This behavior happens only when the value you type it found here found between, let's say, 15 and 50/49. But if the value you type it found, let's say, between 50-50 or greater or equal to 50-50, then less than 16, let's say the value itself up is to 60. Okay, this is a little bit crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I know, because this is the way how I'm trying to explain it. Now let's see. Let me comment this thing here. We have an adjustment. Okay, adjustment, we said that the value is set to 50. It has to be between, let's say, 0 and 100. We are going to increment it with 1, and of course the step with 1 and page with 10. Now when we compile the program, as you already know, the value will be set to 50, because we said it had to be 50. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now watch. Now let us set this value to this function to true. Let me run the program now. Now our value is set to 50. Let's type something here. For example, if I type now 35.5 and I hit enter, you see the value it is changed to 36. I wanted to have it 35. Let me go back to false so that you understand it. Watch. I didn't compile it, I just run it. Now watch again. I will type 35.5. yes, now you see our value, it is set to 35.50. so now it goes up 36, 50, 37, 38, 50, 39, 50, 40, 50, and so on. Well, when you set it to true, like I said, if the value you type it, let's say 35, and then after the dot those decimals point values, if they are between 35 and 35.50, it will be rounded to 35. So for example, if I put now 50 here and I hit enter, you see it's 35. If I now, for example, put let's say 35.60, now if I hit enter, the value will be updated to 36, because it is more than 50. Oh, sorry, I had to hit enter again. 35.60, and if I hit now enter, you see it updates to 36. If I hit now, I don't know, 75.88, of course it will be rounded to, yes, to 76, because it is between 75.5 and 76. So basically this is what, let's say, this is what this function does. Somehow around this, it's rounding the value you are typing with the nearest value which it can set it. So this means now we have 50 here, which means, like I said, if you type 55.3, it will be rounded to 55. But if you type 55.73, for example, then the value here will be rounded to 56, and this because this 0.73 is near 6 and 0.3 is near 5. Okay, I hope you understand. Now we can move on to our next function. So let's see, the next functions are those two, which is the GtkSpinButton get update policy. This is an interesting function, so let's see what exactly this function does based on its manual reference. Let's see where the function is. Okay, there is it. It is a function which returns nothing, void, takes two parameters. The first one is our GtkSpinButton, and the second one is the GtkSpinButton update policy. What this means, we'll see in a second, sets the update behavior. So it doesn't set the value itself. It said the behavior of the value, so that you understand. You will see in a moment what that means. So this determines whether the spin button is always updated or only when a valid value is used or is set. So let's see what's the story with these two parameters. The first one is our button, the second one is the policy, which is the GTK-SpinButton update policy. Now if we watch inside here, we have two. One, it is a GTK update always, and the second one is GTK update if valid. So the GTK update always means when refreshing your GTK spin button, the value is always displayed. But if you set it to if valid, means when refreshing your GTK button, the value is only displayed if it is valid within the bounds of the GTK button's adjustment. What this means? Now, how can I explain? Let's say if the set numeric function, let's say no, if you set to false, so this means it's the same story. If you set it to false, if you let it like this, where you can type also some text. Yes, you see, this is important for you to know. So if you set to false, so that accept not just values but also some text, then if the update policy of the GTK spin button, let's say, is set to GTK update always, let me just call first this function before I'm talking too much. Okay, so I'm call this function, copy these two things here, and then I'm going to set it to always. Okay, so basically now I call this function on our spin button, and we were setting its policy to update always. So this means that now that it's set to always, one thing to remember for you is that when you type something and you move this window here, like I'm moving now, for example, then the value will be set to 0. So just be very I hope you understand very clear what's with this policy. Watch, I'm typing text. Now watch when I move the window. Bam. You see, the value is set to 0. It was before 50. Let's go back. Now it was 50. You see, so basically I can play with this. But once that you type something and you move the window, you see, it sets to 0. This means the value goes to 0. It will be rounded to 0. So that this means when you move the window. But when you type something and then you click the increment button, the plus button, then the spin button's value, it will be also incremented according to the value which it is set. So this means, watch, I'm typing something, and of course, you know, when I move now, it's set to 0. Let me update to some value. Now watch, when I type something, but I'm not going to move the window this time so that the value will be set to 0. This time I am going to increment our spin button by 1, and watch what happens. You see, the value gets updated to 0 and then updates with the value which we were setting here to increment. So basically, if I'm setting now the increment value here to 5, so that you'll better understand, now we have 50. We are going to type something, and now when I hit the plus button, watch, you see, it goes back to 0 and then increments with 5. So just be careful about this thing here, and about when you are going to type something, what exactly happens. So basically this is what this update always does. Now let's see the second one. It says when refreshing your GTK spin button, the value is only displayed if it is valid within the bounds of the spin button's adjustment. What this means, let us check. I'm going to change now the value which was updated to always, this time to be if it is valid. I'm going to run the program. Now watch, I'm going to type something, I'm going to move the window, bam, you see, your value stays there. Watch again. You see, the value stays there. This means we have here a wrong value. It is not a valid value. So if it's not a valid value, and I'm moving the window, you should let the actual value which was there alone. You see, I'm moving to, I don't know, 30 for example. I'm going to type something here. I move the window, bam, goes back to 30. So basically stays there where it was. 35, typing something, moving the window, stays to 35. What do you think happens if you type something and you hit the plus? Of course, it happens the same thing, because we said if it's valid. Watch, plus. No, it's not. Of course it's not. It's updating. So don't think that by pressing the minus or plus button or the increment or decrement button means you cannot increment it when you type a wrong value. No, it means only it has to be with the refresh button, the way the button refreshes, not the way you set the button. So basically, if you type something here and you move the window, you are refreshing the button, so the value stays there where it was. But if you are typing something here and then you hit plus, the value increments. Just remember that. Okay. So you see, 40, 35. You see, you can do your job even if the value is not valid. So just to remember, I hope now you understand where's the main difference between these two things. Of course, you can catch signals, which we are going to talk about them later. It's not important if you catch an adjustment signal or you catch spin button signal. Let me show you something. Let us catch a signal here. Let's say G signal connect swap. Okay. Now let me remove the part for the. Okay. Watch. The first I will use the adjustment, and then value change it. We already know, we learn about adjustment. So we are going to work with a button's adjustment and not with the button itself. You will see the difference in a moment. And then we are going to create a callback function. Let's call it adjustment value change it. Okay. And the last one, of course, will be our adjustment again. Now we have this function here. Let us create this function so that we, let's say void adjustment value changes. So this means GTK adjustment. Okay. And then we are going to say G print. I know what can I say? The adjustment value was changed to, I don't know, we'll see in a moment. Let's say 2 digits will be fine. Okay. And then we are going to call GTK get, GTK, sorry, adjustment get value. Okay. So let us compile and run this program the way it is now. Okay, we have to declare it again. We have another the general type of start over the format of a type double, but then has a type G double. Where's the problem? Okay, it is a problem because I just called the value without, or the function without its parameter, which is wrong. Okay, so watch. Basically now you see the adjustment sets to a value. So basically when we are changing this spin button, we get in the adjustment value was changed. The same thing happens now when we type here and we move the window here stays there, but when you try something and hit enter, updates itself. Okay, now let me copy this here and put it here and just say not adjustment, spin button this time, spin button. Okay, let's change this one. So at this point we are not going to use adjustment, we are going to use spin button get value, which is a function we right here. Let's go up somewhere here. It is the value it has to be. You should see here is the get the value of the spin. Okay, now we created this function. Now we are going to create a new signal, which it's called spin button change value, and we are going to pass the spin button this time and the spin button this time. We are not going to use the value of the adjustment. We are going to use the value change of the spin button. What did we made wrong? Of course we did made wrong, because GTK spin button we need spin button and not adjustment. Okay, let me just change it. Sorry guys for this, I was typing too fast. And now if I run the program, as you can see, the value gets updates in the manner of we are setting it. So basically the adjustment, okay, let's change this. So the spin button value, let's change it just to see that it is about the spin button value, it's not about the adjustment value. You see the spin button value was changed to 50, 55 and so on. When we are typing here and hit enter, it gets updated to 60 and so on. So this is basically what I wanted to show you, that if the change value which you get it from the adjustment the same way how you get it from your spin button, because you created your spin button through your adjustment. So basically once that you have this value, you can get it. So once that you have this value, it's not important if you get it through adjustment or through spin button. Okay, so that being said, I think it's enough for today. We covered most of all the important functions here. Okay, I forgot one, sorry guys, which is the GTK spin button update. Of course you understand what is this, because we set the update policy to be update to something, and here we are going just to update the button. And when we go to this function, says manually force an update of the spin button. So this means no matter what you are setting, once that you are setting something, like for example here, after it's changed, just force the button to be update spin button. Okay, so basically after you change the value, you manually force the button to actually change its value, so that you can have it. So let's go to always and run the program now. I change back to always. I will change this thing here. Now when I hit plus, we have 5, you see. Okay, so that is the thing which I hope you understand, and I hope you remember when you are playing with these two functions, because it's very, very important. The GTK spin button update itself says its name what does. You are forcing the update, but these two functions are important because how you update the policy based off the which kind of update you choose is the way how your program behaves. So just be sure when you call this function which kind of update are you really needed. I think that always it is the default one. Let me go back to see where the updates policy here. Set the parameter. Okay, it doesn't say nothing, but I think it's defaults to I don't know, let me check for a second. So I'm comment out this part here. I'm going to run the program. I'm going to type something here. I move the window so it is 0 as it should be, and now I will type I hit plus and goes to 5. Yes, so basically if you are calling this function with update always, it is the same like you are not calling this function. The only thing which take effect it is if you set it to if valid. Now you change the story. Okay, so that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends, and until next time, see you guys.